This one I'm gonna do is basically about wrestling. I don't know if anybody on watches it or knows about it, but they were they had a pay per view actually two of them this last week. One was at WWE's Fastlane, and there was an NWA one. Um, to me, I don't like to watch WWE. It's just way too much talking, and the storylines don't make sense. Um, you know, I don't like some of the gimmicks they do. Some of the storylines don't make sense. Um, I'm not a big fan on intergender matches, uh, which I don't know if anybody watched it. There was they had Alexa Bliss wrestling Randy Orton in an intergender match, and the new gimmick they gave Bray Wyatt was wasn't well thought out. Which you know, eh, wrestling back in the '80s and not back in the '80s, late '80s was mainly all cartoonish. In the '90s it was. They had clowns, just all kind of stuff that wasn't needed. Um, then they had like three companies competing against each other. One was back then it was the WWF, which is now the WWE. They had, and then the other two when they were running in business was WCW and ECW. I kind of was the bigger fan of ECW because yeah, a lot of their matches were kind of, a little bit wild, but they didn't have cartoon, and it was all, cartoon and PG. When you watched it, it was actually, if, if you get the chance, you can find anything on YouTube, excuse me, and that's the one you want to go back and look and see. That's how wrestling should be. They have like in the WWE now, they have a group called they dress up like Vikings. They have one guy come out and had a sword, which didn't last very long. That he was supposed to be some kind of, um, I don't know, like some kind of, I don't know what you call him. He was Irish. Um, and then they had the one that comes out with black pants, white shirt, suspender, and a hat. And he looks like a cab driver from the in Brooklyn. I don't think that they need a bunch of talking because that's just to me when you turn in for 3 hours and it's just talking. They had like the little skits like Miss TV and all that. That's just, I mean, in the '90s, it was different. I mean, you had beer swagging, giving me people the middle fingers, all kind of stuff, and then they kind of dulled it down a lot. Well, I can understand if you're gonna dull something down, but if you dull it down too bad, then no one's gonna see it. It um, I got bits and pieces of the pay per view for Sunday, and it was horrible. I mean, wrestling's not like it used to be. Um, and like last year, in 2020, instead of just taking a year off, showing like old pay per views, old matches, they could have did that. But keep, to keep people entertained, they had a whole library full of old matches, old pay per views, stuff like that. But now when you watch it, they got TV screens, they got fake noise sound effects. It's pointless, and I don't, you know, I the way that it's going, I don't see them lasting too much longer because no one wants to. I mean, like 3 hours and two and a half 2 hours of it's nothing but talking. You then you get like an hour of matches. like AEW. Now AEW, I mean, it's not as bad. I mean, they're bringing a lot of the old wrestlers in, which is good. But they're going to basically the way they're going, they're going to be a generic WWE. I mean, if you're going to try to compete against someone who's been around forever, I can understand that. But they got a lot of like the Big Show, which now he goes by Paul White. They got Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, Taz, Sting, Jake and Snake Roberts, and all them. Which are now the older guys that they manage. I mean, I think that because see a lot of them when they when their wrestling career is over, they've been wrestling maybe 30, 40 years. When you do that day in and day out, night after night, and then once your career is done, they don't know what to do because they've been doing that for so long. It's just something that they're so used to. Now, a lot of them, like Diamond Dallas Page, has got his own yoga. I mean, he realized after his career was done that he knew he wouldn't be able to wrestle no more. You know, so he started up his own company. A lot of them, that you see nowadays, the older ones are after wrestling. You know, still trying to live their basically live their glory years, which you know it's sad. A lot of them. It's just hard to grasp. When you're wrestling in front of thousands and thousands and thousands of people, like 90,000 people, then you're going to these little independent shows wrestling in front of maybe 75 to like 150 people. You know, I think, and then when you're done wrestling, all like a lot of them, we thank you for entertaining the fans. We'll give you a ring, push them on their way. Now, there's a lot of them that can still do it, like the Rock and Roll Express. I mean, they after they've been champions like in every organization they've been in. But it's just watching WWE now, then like from the '90s, it's like totally different. It's they call it the PG area. It's just my thing is they need to cut out a lot of the talking, lot of the goofy segments they do, you know, and start instead of just getting rid of these guys, start pushing them because they released a lot of them. I mean, a lot of them are gone. A lot of them ended up in like different organizations. A lot of them are still young. They still got maybe 20 years, 30 years ahead of them. But of course, no one knew the pandemic was going to hit, so there's nothing can't say well, you know. But I see where a lot of them they didn't push them like the women's they get the women's tag team. A lot of people ain't a fan of that, which I think they should either get keep the women's tag titles and get rid of one of either the Raw or the SmackDown title. Make it into one title for both companies. Both brands can wrestle for it, like and like tag team. But now that a lot of them get in there, it's sloppy wrestling. My thing is the biggest problem with the wrestling is wrestlers are dating wrestlers. Okay, Becky Lynch was a real good wrestler. Well, she got hooked up with Seth Rollins. She's out of action. Um, that Lacey Evans, she's not wrestling because she's pregnant. You know, Charlotte Flair was supposed to be at WrestleMania going against Asuka. Now it's set up. Rhea Ripley, she's going to wrestle. They had to bring her up from. They got like three different brands. It's NXT, then naturally Raw and SmackDown. But they're going to lose. They're going to lose so much money. You know, like I said, I'm not saying I'm a wrestling expert. This is just what I think that what's going on is they need to figure out what they're going to do they got all the people that are supposed to be the creative team coming up with stupid storylines. You know, um, like what was what she's not in there no more. It was Rusev, which he's in AEW now. I don't know what he goes by there, and Lana. Okay, that worked out pretty good to the point. But what really hurt him is where she dropped her accent. She talks plain English, which you know I just think it's such a waste of talent and time and money and airtime and just for you got the New Day. One comes out with the trumpet, which I don't think they're pushing Big E like they should be. Big E should be a main event guy. Kingston. It took what almost 12 years to get where he was at. I was actually shocked when Bobby Lashley won it. It's either Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, AJ Styles, Kevin Owens. There was always the ones winning it. I think it'd be a really good champion, and it's just me. You know, I think maybe like the younger talent, that's there, like that Keith Lee. I think he make a good heavyweight champion. That United States title, and that's one thing that it drives me nuts. Okay, everybody has a U.S. title. WCW had it. NWA had it. All that Mid South, Memphis, all of them had them. When you can't have like 9,000 U.S. titles, and to me, the WWE U.S. title, it's just like giving someone say, "Here, you get to have a title." They got like the WWE Championship, the Universal Championship. They got the Raw, the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, the women. They got the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championship. They got, um, like I said, the U.S. title, and it's just, and then NXT. They got them in NXT. Now, what I like about NXT, they didn't when they got the NXT title and the North American title. They should do away with the United States title. I just think because there's wrestling companies out there, like little independent companies, that have U.S. titles. My thing is, try to do something. Don't just copy what you see on TV. Try to do your own title. You know, don't have intergender matches because, for one, they had Randy Orton wrestle on Alexa Bliss, stupid match. You know, and lately you see them botching moves. They you know they're starting to get sloppy. So I think that's why they sent him down to NXT. Like they got one thing that really drives me nuts, and he's a real good talent. I seen him on a show with can't remember the guy's name. He was a kicker. Uh, he was a football kicker for the Colts. I can't remember. Pat McAfee. He was on the was Adam Cole. Okay, Adam Cole would be good, but see, when these guys go on talk shows and you get these talk show guys thinking, oh, let's make fun of them and stuff. Adam Cole should be up in the WWE. He should be up there. He should have been up a long time ago. You know, it's just a lot of them are getting hurt or getting sick. You know, they get the COVID. I mean, that's why I said last year they could have just did. They got a whole library from WCW, from ECW, all the um, Smoky Mountain Wrestling and stuff like that. They could have showed old matches from years ago to keep people, into wrestling. But no, you can't do a wrestling show in an empty arena. You know, they buy their ticket, they pay so much to get T-shirts and souvenirs, and they make that's where they make their money from. And now they had the WrestleMania that which is 2 days. I just think thank God next year everything will go back. I hope they go back to normal when everybody can just put this whole COVID thing back in the past and move on. But the WWE and Vince McMahon really just it was all about money. Okay, which that's fine. I mean, they went from being a $1 billion company to battling against a company that's been around for about a year that that has outgrown them. Because AEW's got Chris Jericho, which I think is a phenomenal wrestler. Cody Rhodes, who's a phenomenal wrestler. All the other ones are in there. Um, Even the ones that everybody just learned about, they're all good wrestlers. You know, Vince has been around for how many years? His dad did it. This uh, guy from the Tony Khan, I think if I pronounced his name right, owns a football team and a soccer team. Comes in and basically is almost wiping the map with them, and he's only been around a year. Um, they got a lot of good women in AEW. One of them I met, which is everybody don't like her, which is Nyla Rose. She's a good wrestler. Uh, they're bringing people in from TNA or not TNA Impact. I always keep saying TNA because it's been TNA since I even stopped watching that. They bring them in there from Impact. I'm gonna say it again, and NWA. You know, now they're anything I don't like is we're bringing sports athletes in. Okay, if Shaq was trained right, he'd be a really good wrestler. He got one in flexes muscles. You know, this that didn't even do a wrestling move, and okay, Cody Rhodes runs and jumps on him. He falls backwards into a table. I don't care who you are when you're big as Shaq and your arms are about the size of oak trees. I think him jumping on him, he could have caught him and it wouldn't have fell. Like I said, a lot of the storylines don't make sense. And when I started watching it, it was I watched it when I was a kid, and then um, I remember where a couple towns up from me, I was sitting out back. It was at a WCW show. I got to do what I thought was the greatest thing in the world. I was a stagehand. They hired me on the spot to do that, and I did that for a while. And I did shows for good like maybe like 20 years, and now I help on occasionally with helping if someone needs me to get a hold of someone or do this. But like I said, I'm not trying to say I'm a wrestling analyst. I can what's going on with wrestling, but it's just way too much talking. I think they if they limit some of the talking. I know you got to watch what you say on TV now because a lot of the younger kids watch it. Kids are going out and backyards and wrestling. That's another thing that really irks me. Okay, these guys that you watch on TV, they go to school, they get trained, they get proper training. They work their way up to where they're at, and then you got backyard wrestling. You got kids out there hitting each other with chairs, garbage can lids, cheese graters, just jumping off the roof, not trained, and people love that. Who wants to go see a bunch of uh, young kids mutilating themselves? I seen one where he jumped off the house into a burning table, and then I watched like not even a minute of it. I'm like, I didn't like it. Then I seen one where they somewhere out in some field they hit each other with lights and shovels. That's nonsense. I mean, if you want to be a wrestler, go get trained. You can't call yourself a wrestler if you're wrestling in your backyard in front of like three people. You know, it they get if you ever see one, they got their entrance way is garbage. It's like tarps and cheats. It's just it's foolishness. I mean, to get in there and to hurt yourself for what? You're not getting paid for it, so you can hold up some cardboard belt and say, tell your kids, "Oh, I was, the cardboard champion." That's why a lot of people don't like hard. I mean, there's backyard wrestling is horrible. A lot of people don't like hardcore wrestling when the WWE did it, when uh, ECW did it. I don't know if WCW did it. They kind of doctored theirs up. Them guys are trained how, and all that stuff. Like said, oh, they get hit with a steel garbage can, like the steps. Them steps are aluminum. They're are they're like you can see how thick they are. They're aluminum. I mean, all that stuff that they bring in there is where it won't do no damage. Now in ECW, when you have someone come out with a garbage can, then people would can do sticks, uh, stop signs, sweepers, golf clubs, guitars, that stuff, And then you had one to go around with swinging beer and smoking cigarettes and smacking the beer can off his hand, and it just. 'Cause I always watch like different shows. And people like, oh, they don't like hardcore wrestling. Okay, if you don't like it, don't watch it. I can understand my backyard wrestling because when I was younger, when I was a teenager, all our friends we all went in the backyard and wrestled. We didn't go around telling people we're wrestlers or breaking furniture or putting each other in the hospital. They, it amazes me how wrestling's changed over the years. It's not like what it used to be. And there's, like I said, the bigger companies, they're like I said, the WWE, AEW, you got NXT, which SmackDown, and Impact, and MLW, which one I just heard of. And then for people who don't know, if everybody knows, it's a high value wrestling. Them are the big companies where you go to learn. Okay, wrestling schools are expensive. I don't, you're paying anywhere from a couple hundred to a couple thousand. Okay, that's fine if you just want to wrestle around the country. If you know you're not going to be on TV. There's a lot of people I watch a documentary of one guy that never made it to where he was to the WWE or anything, but he wrestled around the country. That's fine. He said, that's something he wanted to do. You know, he wrestled in like fairs, carnivals, all kind. They wrestled in like little barns. You know, I watched one which I wasn't really fond of it because it was a bunch of bull. If you watch Beyond the Mat, don't watch it because that is a crock of crap. Like I said, I gotta watch what I say because I don't want to get in trouble for swearing. So but people just don't understand that you can't if you're gonna do a show like there's a lot of little companies around. I don't call them companies. I call them promotions. Okay, there's a lot of promotions around. I've seen a lot of them over the years where you go, it's in a small building, no air conditioning, you know, no restrooms. The restrooms you had to go outside. If you want people to come to your promotion, you want to make your promotion look like a promotion, like what entranceway, guardrails, lights. I mean, I don't see a lot of promotions making it like be like the WWE or AEW, but it can at least be a step up. I mean, you can at least try to get good talent. I mean, a couple buddies of mine are in Bridgeport, Ohio. They have a company that's been doing it for 4 years. They have phenomenal talent. They have a phenomenal setup. You know, um, I mean, they have everything they needed. Because a former friend of mine uh, said, "Hey, I have a couple buddies who are wanting to start a wrestling company. Can you go over and they got a ring to see if they had everything? We pulled everything out, and they had a phenomenal setup. It looked like they had the entrance. It looked like an ECW style setup. They had the guardrails, everything. Um, there's companies out there that'll want to bring in a name every show, like an old person, like an older wrestler from back then. Okay, you got to figure you got to either how much they're going to charge, if they're going to drive in, and if they want reimbursed for gas, or if they got the flying for paying for the ticket, getting in my hotel. By the time you do all that, you're neglecting the ones that are out there working to better themselves. I don't think I don't see the necessary thing to bring an old person in from like WWE, WWF, or all that. You know, there's no need for that. You got talent here. I've been to, like I said, a lot of shows, and I met a lot of people, and I seen, like I said, a lot of them. Some of the talent wasn't really good. They were just first starting out. The buildings were poorly maintenance. They didn't have plumbing or anything. Uh, you had to see wrestlers get. They had a. There was like a part of the building. There was the ceiling, the wall come down, so they did sew a tarp over, and that was their changing room. I mean, that's paying your dues. But now, if you're going to do run a promotion, which I don't call it a company because WWE is a company, AEW is a company, ML, MLW is a company, and Impact's a company. If you're going to run a promotion, you want to have it where people are like, wow, this is really nice. I think we'll start coming back here. You know, and this, like I said, the pandemic hurt a lot of people, a lot of companies. A lot of them weren't running. Um, there was a really good promotion up in Pittsburgh, which they are like to me. I like I said because I've seen been to their shows and I know they have, but it's probably the best promotion in Pennsylvania by far. I mean, it's been around for 20 years. They, you know, they did really good stuff, and like my buddies, they've been around for 4 years, but I see 4 years from now they're going to be bigger. Like I said, everybody says, well, they want to be a promoter. Okay, but they want to wrestling. Okay, you get a wrestling ring, that's fine. You got to get a building. You got to get insurance. You're going to have titles. So you got to figure you're spending about $20,000 on this. You got to find, of course, you can find wrestlers anywhere, but you'll get the ones. I think biggest problem is if you're going to do a show, you should have a set budget on what you're going to do. Don't let your talent run your show. You're the promoters or promoter. They have to do what you want. If they come say, hey, we would like to make a change, and they talk to you about it, and if you like it, that's fine. If not, say, hey, no, this is how we're going to do it. You know, but that's mainly one of the reasons why I come on today. I usually come on early in the daytime because I usually do a Facebook live, but doing Facebook lives with teenagers is not a good thing. And I kind of, I could like to talk about a lot of things. Like the next one I'll do will be, like about baseball season start. With baseball season starting, that'll be probably be tomorrow. Because like I said, I do these around my work schedule, and I'll probably do one tomorrow. I'm gonna do one tomorrow and one Monday. I usually do them on my days off because my work schedule is kind of, you know, I usually work the morning or a mid shift or or till 3 in the morning. So I kind of like to do these on my day off. Um, this is something I don't do this just to make money. That I do it because this is something I love to do. It's not like I'm out of work and I need to do this. Um, I just like to do it because it gives me something to do. So that's why I do it. I mean, I don't try to get on or I get paid for it. You know, if someone donates, that's fine. I mean, I'm not, I know a lot of like pages. There's like a lot of them that you get on here. It's like when you push subscribe, usually you need to watch everything. Then the other one, if you, other one, it says, oh, you got to pay such and such a month. You know, me, As long as I post these and people like watching them, I'll keep doing them. You know, I always tell people if there's something they want to talk about, they're more than welcome to come on here. Um, but like I said, tomorrow I'll probably do like what I try to do them on sports because you know. So tomorrow with baseball season starting, you know, talk about it's like we could talk about spring training, the NFL draft, um, NHL stuff like that. Even like the smaller leagues, like the not smaller leagues, like the farm leagues, like the AHL with the ECHL stuff like that. We just talk about. I like to talk about sports. You know, I don't like to get on there and talk about politics because like I always tell people, my opinion is my opinion. I don't want to push my opinion on someone else. And someone tells me their opinion, that's their opinion. You know, a lot of people have different opinions on stuff. So I try to, you know, like on sports and you know, um, I'm going to try to. My daughter wanted to do one. It was uh, where we do one a UFC pay per view. Well, for one, I I actually thought about doing it, but she gets kind of crazy when because she loves UFC fighting. But well, but I'm going to start doing different things, and, you know, like talk about different things, different stuff. But today, I just, like I said, I just want to talk about wrestling, how wrestling was, and how it's in how it is today. It's back then. You were, you know, it was just, you know, like I said, beer, drinking beer, flipping people off, you know, hitting people with chairs. They watered it down, which I can understand because you had the younger viewers, okay. But I guess before I end this, one thing I do want to say is they just need to cut out all the talking, all the stupid gimmicks, all the unnecessary, like the Miz TV. I don't think that's even remotely funny. Like Alexa Bliss did one, Kevin Owens did one. It was called the KO show. It's just people when they get on it, they want to watch wrestling, okay? And these people need the wrestlers, you know, watching moves. Okay, that happens. I mean, it, they're not like perfect athletes, or they're not going to never make a mistake in their life. But I think they just need to stick to the wrestling like it was back then, not all the talking. You know, like it. I just think they just need to cut out all the unnecessary stuff that costing them ratings. But like I said, I'm going to hop off here. We'll talk to everybody tomorrow. If whoever was watching, I really appreciate you watching. I hope you if you enjoyed. There's a subscribe button. Um, leave a comment if there's something you want to talk about, and eventually I get the hang of this. I'll start bringing people on. I might have to demonetize it work because a lot of people I have on here, like you know, some people cause I try to keep it clean. In case, you know, no one wants to get on here and hear a bunch of people, you know, talking like truckers. But like I said, if there's anything that anybody likes talk about, like I said, I hope you enjoyed. Like I said, there's just a subscribe button. Um, but until tomorrow, I usually do these around noon. I did a little bit early today. Um, but I still do the Facebook lives, but that just to get on and you know we do them all on like different pages. But this is the one thing that I'm going to aim on doing, you know. So, but till tomorrow, probably be around. I usually do these before around noon or a little bit after, a little bit on before noon, and then like I said, I know people work. They can come home and hey, see that's wonder what he's talking about. Click on and watch it. Like I said, you could like it. You can just hit the subscribe button. Like I said, you know, like I said, I'm not trying to get on there and ask people. You know, I'm not going to get people on here to pay to watch these. I don't do that. Um, but until tomorrow, everybody have a good day, and I'll see everybody tomorrow.